Hi, this is Marsha.
And this is Kelly.
We are the Two Ewes of Two Ewes Fiber Adventures. Thanks for stopping by.
You'll hear about knitting, spinning, dyeing, crocheting, and just about anything else we can think of as a way to play with string.
We blog and post show notes at twoewesfiberadventures.com.
And we invite you to join our Two Ewes Fiber Adventures group on Ravelry. I'm 100 Projects.
And I am Better in Motion.
We're both on Instagram and Ravelry, and we look forward to meeting you there.
Enjoy the episode. Hi, Kelly.
Hey, Marsha.
How are things?
Oh, things are pretty good. I think listeners can probably hear that I'm just as congested in this episode as I was in the last episode. And the reason for that is that we're actually recording this ahead of time.
Yes.
Yeah.
How long a break did we have between these two podcasts?
10 minutes?
10 minutes, yeah. Enough to refill our coffee cups.
That's right, and take a pit stop, and not enough to finish any new projects or start any new projects. But we do have a couple of things to talk about that are sort of hanging out there as adventures. So that's what we're going to be talking about here. And Marsha left off the last episode saying that she had some plans, but she'd talk about them next time. So since it's now next time, do you want to talk about those plans now, or you also have a yarn crawl that you were on that you could talk about?
I think I'm going to talk about the yarn crawl.
Okay.
First.
Yes.
And then because it ties into my plans.
Okay, good.
Okay. So one of our listeners, Julie, who's J Chant on Ravelry and has been to the Knockers Retreat, and we met her at Stitches. She lives in my area, and so we got together and we did the yarn crawl that took place. Hang on a second, I have to look at my notes. Last week, so it was May 17th through the 21st, and we got together just one day and we went to 5 shops. So I was just going to talk a little bit about the shops and
cool
what I bought. So
you bought yarn?
I bought yarn. It's shocking.
Okay.
And Julie didn't buy a thing.
Oh, yeah, but she bought something the next day.
Yes, well, anyway, because she was going so we got together on a Friday, and then she was going Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. Don't let her fool you that she didn't.
Yeah, so I know, because actually she told me she was planning on buying things, so anyway. But we met in Lake Forest Park, and we went to, the first shop was Mad Cow Yarns in Lake Forest Park. And I didn't buy anything there, but I wanted to give a shout out to Invictus Yarns because that was their feature yarn, and she had dyed yarn for their shop.
Nice.
And they featured, and I have to say too, every shop that we went to, we were given 2 patterns, a knit pattern and a crochet pattern. And so both their patterns featured Invictus Yarns. So that was
very nice
to see.
I like my Invictus yarn. I used it for Robert's Civil War socks, a solid. And I used it for I had a striping pair that I bought the yarn at Lambtown last year. And I really liked the way they kind of swirled around, the color kind of swirled around. But both pairs are really nice. Good wearing, but not scratchy. Very nice yarn. Cool.
Yeah. So, and then the next stop, we drove all the way north up to Mount Vernon. So that's about an hour north. And I bought some yarn there. And when I have to back up and just say that when I was in, I'm rattling some paper because I have to pull the yarn out. Back in February, I think it was, and I was in Ellensburg, and I went to Yarn Folk. I had bought some yarn called from Apple Fiber Studio, and it's a sock fingering weight, and it's called Moss on a Rock, and it's it's like a white and yellow and kind of a lime green and black and gray painted yarn, and I wanted to make a shawl out of it, and I wanted a coordinating color, and I had gone through my stash, and I had a gray, but none of it seemed very good, so I thought I brought the yarn with me, thinking I would try and find something at a shop. And at Wild Fibers, I found Madelinetosh in a color called Void. And it's black. Like it's black and a dark charcoal gray, but some variation. And they look great together. It made the black sort of and charcoal gray made this other color really pop. So I knew I wanted to make a shawl, and when we were planning to make yarn out of the yarn that we got at the Knockers retreat a year ago, I kept looking for patterns that would use about 400 yards of both colorways, so I wouldn't waste anyway. So I had all these patterns, and the one that I had picked, it is called Elena, Leinya, by Amba O'Brien. Okay. And it's basically just a garter stitch shawl. And so it's just 2 rows alternating colors. Uh-huh. I love the pattern, but I started knitting, and I've done maybe 2 or 3 inches, and I kind of feel the pattern should have more highly contrasted yarns, where even though these are highly contrasted colors, when you hold them separately, when you put them together, the black that's in the yellow sort of blends in with the black. And so I think, again, it's the case of, great yarns, great pattern, but not together. Mm-hmm. So I'm going back to the drawing board. And what I'm thinking I might do is just the Good Vibes shawl that I made with the Knockers yarn. I like that pattern so much. I think I might just make that.
And with bigger blocks of the black, it might seem to be more contrasting.
Yeah.
Because I think Good Vibes has larger stripes, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to go back to the drawing board, but again, it's the same thing. I want to find something where I can use as much of the yarn as possible, not waste any of it. But
you could
waste any of it.
You could try that. What was I said in the last one? Hunter Twasser.
Yes,
Neptunia.
Right. No, I'm not going to make that because I will never be able to pronounce that name in all these episodes.
Right.
But anyway, so then also there was 2 patterns there that I bought. And the first one is a poncho, because, I've got this poncho thing going now. There's no enthusiasm like that of a Converse, so I really am into ponchos. Anyway, it's called Stone Point by Courtney Kelly. And it's a lace pattern. So the bottom of it is garter stitch and garter stitch on the sides, and then a lace pattern. And it looks like I was reading the pattern, and you knit 2 rectangles and then seam them together at the shoulders, and then pick up and knit a collar.
That's cute. Are you looking at it? I just got the pattern up. Yeah, that is really cute.
Very cute. And now the interesting thing about the pattern in the shop, if you look at the bottom, where the garter stitch is at the bottom of it, what they had done in the shop is they actually had attached the front and the back at where that garter stitch is. And so if you look at the picture that's on the pattern, it's sort of open and flowing. But in the shop, they actually had stitched that together. And I actually thought that was really good looking.
Yeah. In the pattern, the actual pattern is more like a ruana, right? That's the rectangle that goes up and over your shoulders and then down your back.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that would be cute with the edging. And even not even stitching it, you could just join. I don't know if it's top down or bottom up, but wherever you were at that point, you could just knit it in the round for that little bit.
Oh, that's true.
And maybe that's what they did. Who knows?
Yeah.
But this is very cute. I like this.
Yeah. I think that's very cute. So I need to add it to our poncho bundle.
Oh, yeah, do that. That's good.
I'll do that.
Yeah. It's a nice lace pattern, and then the cowl and the bottom band just looks like just garter stitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it would be
it's the type of lace that I like. You were talking in one of the episodes about sort of fiddly frou-frou lace, old-fashioned
like
lace.
Victorian,
Yes, and that's not really my type of lace. I like lace that's, as I often say, sort of geometric, because I think it has a bit more of a modern feel to it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought that poncho was great, so I bought that and that pattern. And then I'm also, in the last episode, we were talking about planning. And so I have a lot of sweater quantities worth of yarn, and I have not had much luck finding a pattern that I really want that's going to work. And either my gauge is not right or I don't have enough yarn. And I thought really what I need is just a basic plain cardigan, so they had at the shop a really cute pattern, and it's designed by Amy Christoffers, which I've made her patterns before. This one's called Harebell. So like Hare, like the rabbit Harebell, which I know, Kelly, I'm going to always call this hairball. I just know in future episodes when I talk about this, I'm going to have to stop myself and go Harebell. But it's just a basic raglan sleeve cardigan. And it's quite long. The pattern, it shows it down sort of upper thigh level, kind of maybe mid-thigh. And I was thinking, with this, since it's a top-down raglan, you just knit until you don't have any more yarn, and I can make it shorter, so I think that's going to be just a basic pattern. So I got that at
Hairball. Hairball is a good basic pattern.
Harebell. Let's not. I don't want to. I like Amy Christoffers' pattern, so I don't want to be offensive to her. But I just know me. Anyway.
Okay, say it with us, listeners. Garter squish Afghan.
And Harebell. So after Wild Fibers, we drove down to Stanwood and we went to Pinch Knitters Yarns. And Kelly, the one thing that we love so much is whenever you see a big, juicy hank of yarn.
Yeah.
We love that kind of thing. Well, I walked in and guess what was there? And huge.
Oh my
so
gosh.
let me tell you what it is. It's called Done Roving Yarns. It's a DK, and it's called Frolicking Feet Sweater Pack. And it's from Maine, and the colorway is called Blue Moon. So it's kind of a navy with undertones of teal.
Okay.
Or maybe it's teal with undertones of navy. I don't know. It's a really beautiful, and when you, actually in the light, it's almost iridescent too. It's really, really pretty. And, but it has 1,500 yards in it.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And I don't know why it's called Frolicking Feet, because it's DK weight.
Oh yeah. I got one of those, a skein of Done Roving yarn. Frolicking Feet was fingering weight.
Oh, you did?
At our first yarn crawl, the yarn crawl that we went to in San Luis Obispo when we first started the podcast, and I ended up making a shawl, out of it, but it was fingering weight, so it was actually a sock weight yarn, but I made a shawl. But yeah, maybe that's just the what she calls the base, or that fiber combination or something. Nice.
But the thing I think is funny.
Yards.
Yeah. So the funny thing about it though is I looked at the weight of this thing. It says 1 pound 20 ounces. So I'm like looking at that, but isn't that 2 pounds 4 ounces? Because isn't 16 ounces is a pound, right? So, but it's listed as 1 pound 20 ounces.
Huh.
So it really is 2 pounds 4 ounces.
Wow. Yeah. If that's accurate,
I forgot.
Yeah.
But I was wondering why they list it that way.
That is weird.
Anyway, so I thought I need to weigh it.
Right.
So I meant before we recorded, I meant to weigh it and I forgot. But anyway, I bought that and I think it's beautiful. And what I'm thinking of making out of this, the reason I bought it is there's a sweater that I've been dying to make, and I've been swatching, and none of the sweater quantities of yarn that I have are the correct gauge, and I don't have enough of any of them. But it's a kind of a drapey cardigan, and it's called Cloud Cover. I'm rustling paper, here. And it's by Heidi Kermeyer.
Okay. I like her
and
patterns. Okay, so let me just ask you, is the person wearing it wearing baggy sort of faded jeans? A skinny person wearing baggy faded jeans.
Well, I can't see her jeans in this. I'm looking at the paper. The paper pattern that I printed out. I don't know. I can go on. But
it doesn't matter. I know there's a...
Anybody who's wearing baggy jeans you love, right?
I have so many patterns in my favorites or in my queue that are exactly that. Yes. Somebody in a sweater with baggy jeans. Like, I will look like that if I buy this pattern.
Yes. Tall
and lanky.
Thin.
Yeah,
tall and lanky. Yeah. Well, but this pattern, what attracted me to it is it's, again, it's more just stockinette, but then, so you make the sweater, but then you pick up for the collar, and the collar is really wide. It looks like it's about 4 to 5 inches wide. The front band becomes the collar, and then it closes with just 3 buttons. And with the idea is that it's one of those sweaters that you can wear open or closed. Because a lot of times, the open sweaters that don't have buttons on them, sometimes you want to close them, and because you're cold, and then you end up sort of wrapping and holding it with your arms.
Right.
The idea behind this is you can it's designed to look good being open, or it's designed to look good being closed.
Yeah.
So I was intrigued by that.
And the band, that collar and sort of front band is wide enough. Like in my featherweight, I can't really close it.
Yeah.
Even if I wanted to, it doesn't. It's the fronts aren't wide enough.
Right.
The way I made it, even though my bands are wider than the pattern calls for, it really doesn't close. But this one actually does close, and it's a pretty sweater.
It's a pretty sweater, yeah. And then I've been looking at this, and I've not swatched yet for it, but my yarn, I have 1,500 yards, and the size that I'm planning on making calls for 1,530 yards. But I figure it'll just be a little shorter.
Yeah, or the sleeve
I'm not
will be a little shorter, whichever, or your button band part will be just a slight bit, Yeah,
because 30 yards, right? I'll be fine.
Yeah, you should be fine.
Yeah. And then we also stopped by Great Yarns in Everett. And then the last shop we went to was All Wound Up in Edmonds, which is a very nice shop. And when I was there, one of the sweater quantities of yarns that I bought over in Tolt, I think the first year I went on the yarn crawl, the year that I made Ben drive me that year, I bought this Ba Ram U called Dovestone DK in kind of a gray-green called Bramley Bath. I want to make something out of this, and this is what I've been planning, but I don't have enough. So they had this yarn up there at All Wound Up, so I bought another skein. So I have more, so I have a lot more freedom, for options.
Oh, that's good.
So that's what I got. So I didn't buy a whole lot, but I did buy some things, all of which I have plans for.
Yeah, oh, cool. Big plans.
Yeah. And then I have been looking at patterns, and I just will touch on some of the things I've been looking at. I'm still, I found a jacket called City Trip Jacket, which is very cute. And it does not have the name of the designer on here, so I don't know who it is. But it's just a cute jacket with pockets and kind of a shawl collar and sort of an all-over pattern. So I'm thinking about that. Yeah. And another one that I really liked is called Navajo Online. And it's an interesting pattern. It looks it reminds me Kelly, of the Funky Grandpa that you made. It's just, it looks like a man's sweater, kind of. But you hold 2 skeins of yarn together, a light fingering and a heavy fingering. And you do one like the light fingering, it's supposed to be kind of a sleek and slippery, like silk or bamboo, cotton or rayon. And then the other one, the heavy fingering, is, it says heavy fingering or sport weight, and sort of a fluffy, like alpaca, angora, or mohair. And then it's a seamless cardigan, but the way you use the different yarns creates texture and pattern. So I'm kind of interested in that one too.
Okay, I'm looking at it. I'm trying to find it. Okay, so this is one of the Von Hinterstein patterns. I see a lot of those that I like. And that is cute.
Yeah.
It looks a lot like the Funky Grandpa shape. The collar is a little bit closer in. Yeah. The Funky Grandpa gets really skinny at the shoulders. Yeah. But yeah, that's cute. I might have to make that. I like how it has a little stripe of another color in it.
And do you see on the arm? There's a little patterning on the arm too.
Yeah, a little stripe on the arm, little stripe in the button band, or on the bottom band, and then Oh, and at the top, on the back, looks like there's a little detail there too on one of the projects that shows the back. That's cute, Marsha.
I know. So I think that's.
I might have to.
I don't know what I'm going to use, but I like that. I like that.
I'm going to put that right in my queue right now.
Yeah. So I don't think that sweater. I don't think I have anything in my stash that would work. I think that's something I'm going to have to go buy yarn for.
What a shame.
I know.
Someone has to do it.
Yeah, well, I have to, this is my charitable contributions, is to buy yarn, right? Help all these yarn shops out.
That's exactly right. And designers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, that's it for planning, and that was the yarn crawl. And Julie and I had a great time. I did all the driving, which was really nice, and we did get lost once, but that was fun. We had a good time.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
Sometimes it's fun to get lost.
That yarn crawl sounds like it would be fun. That Seattle one. There's a lot of shops and a lot going on.
I have the little brochure here. It's there's 26 shops, and so it goes the 17th through the 21st. Was that 5 days? But I've talked about this before, though. The last shop it all wound up. There was this big cheer went up. So this was Friday at about 3 now, or 3 or 4 o'clock or something. A big cheer goes up because the woman whoever had her passport stamped, it was her last shop. She'd done all of them.
Oh my God.
But it's 20. But here's the thing: it's 26 shops,
really spread out.
And spread out. It goes from just south of Seattle all the way up to Linden, which is near the Canadian border.
Wow.
And then I think as far east is where Tolt is, and Carnation and Quintessential Knits in Duval. I don't know how far, but then it goes over to the islands too. So there's things over in there's Church
Holy
Mouse,
mackerel.
And there's one in Port Townsend.
And so it started on Thursday and she finished on Friday. Is that how?
Yeah,
that's amazing. That kind of reminds me.
Because there's ferries involved in going to some of these.
Well, so she must have just run in, got a stamp, grabbed yarn on the way, like run by the shelf, grab some yarn, go to the checkout, and get your stamp. Oh my gosh! Well, that kind of reminds me of when Robert and I did the River Road wine tour. Mm-hmm. There, I forget how many wineries there were, but we sort of planned it out. He hired a car, and so we had a driver, and we kind of planned out where we wanted to start and what ones we wanted to make sure we got to, because there were so many that it's like, okay, first of all, I'm not going to be able to drink that much, even if we do have a driver. And second of all, there's not enough time. But there were people that went to every winery. It's like, okay, did they even stop to enjoy it, or did they just park the car, run in, swig their wine like a shot? Okay, that one was good. Let me try this one. Okay, oh, that was good. Let me try this next one, and then run back out to the car and drive to the. I don't know how they did it. We planned it so that we could sit and talk and look out over the valley and enjoy the setting of the winery and buy some wine if we wanted to. And I think we went to half of the wineries, but there were people that were at one of the wineries we were at that were finishing up, and they had everything stamped. They had stamped all of them. It's like, okay, I don't know how you do that.
It's like almost like you have to train for it, right?
Like it's a race, and maybe that's what they do. Maybe they train for this wine tour. They practice.
Anyway, well, it was fun. It was fun, and I got some good stuff and had a nice time.
That sounds fun.
Anyway, yes. And how about you? Adventures?
Well, no adventures in my past, but adventures in my future.
In the future,
we have our trip coming up. The trip to see all the dead relatives, as I'm calling it, the Dead Relatives Tour. We went up yesterday, and I mentioned in the last episode that we got some information about family homes, through like Robert's dad's grandmother's home on both sides, where to find them, which roads, where he lived when he was a kid. in Ashdown, Arkansas, and so we have kind of an itinerary of places like that to see. That there may or may not be anything there. You don't know. It's been a long time since he lived there, and even a long time since he's been back and visited there. I think maybe 30 years since he's been back and seen some of these places. So that's going to be really fun. We're flying into Dallas. So we are going to see the museum at the book depository. So we'll see that, or the Kennedy assassination information there. That was one of the things that Robert wanted to see. So we're going to spend a couple of days in Dallas when we first arrive. And of course I have looked for yarn shops, so I've got some plans for yarn shops, either that first time in Dallas or maybe on the way back to the airport at the end of the trip. We'll see some of the yarn shops near there. There's also a botanical gardens that Robert found online, so we're going to take a look at the botanical gardens in Dallas. And I'm not sure what other things we'll see there, but we're within walking distance from quite a few different places in Dallas, and we'll have rented a car, but we'll have a lot of driving, so I'm not sure driving around in the Dallas-Fort Worth area is really so much in our plans. And then we're going to head on to Texarkana. There is a yarn shop in Texarkana that I will be visiting, and that will be fun. But we're going to, from Texarkana, head up to Locksburg and look at cemeteries, and Idabel, Oklahoma, and look at some family homes there. While we're in Arkansas, we're going to see the diamonds. There's like a diamond mining for diamonds place where you can go and dig. And a couple of people in our group have mentioned it. So a couple of listeners have mentioned it to me. When I first saw it, I thought, oh, maybe not. But the more I looked at it, the more I thought, okay, this sounds kind of fun. So it's kind of like panning for gold in Northern California. Only your gold pan doesn't go sailing down the river if you set it down as a child. I don't know how many gold pans we lost, because one of the three of us kids would just set it down on the water. There's the gold pan going down the river. So, but yeah, we'll be doing the diamond mining. I got the good advice to wear clothing that you don't care if you can never get out the dirt, because it's a very dirty job to dig around for diamonds, apparently. Okay. The weather is going to be rainy, at least during the first part of our trip, I think. And of course, Robert's dad, you have to watch out. They have tornadoes there. So now Robert's worried about tornadoes. He's checking the weather every morning to see if we're going to be in danger of tornadoes.
I have to tell you, I'm going to interrupt, just tell you one funny story about tornadoes. And years ago, Paul and I had gone to visit his family in Chicago, and they live out in the suburbs south of Chicago, and we were staying in a motel just about 15 minutes from their house, and all of a sudden these sirens started going off, and it was a tornado warning. Sirens. We're freaking out. I mean, we are freaking out. And he's like, I said, what are we going to do? And he's like, I don't know, let's just go to my mom's house. So we get in the car, we drive over to his parents' house, and they're like, oh yeah, those go off all the time. The tornadoes are like, 500, 600 miles away. Don't worry about it. They're just totally calm. And I said to Paul, but you grew up in the area. But, at his point, it's like he had lived there since he was 18. Yeah. But yeah, we were freaking out.
Sort of like a 3.5 earthquake here or a 4.0 earthquake here. It's like, but I don't even think I barely felt it.
Oh, yeah.
Was that an earthquake?
Yeah, or we'll say, the same thing here, like, did we have an earthquake? Like, raw.
Right. Oh, I think it's an earthquake.
Yeah, but I remember we were like just throwing our stuff in the car and driving over.
Oh my God.
It's such a panic. Anyway, but continue on. That's just my side note about tornadoes. I'm like Robert. We were like Robert. He's not panicking at this point, but he's concerned,
He's a little more concerned than I think he needs to be, but that's okay.
Yeah.
One of us should be concerned about it, I guess. Like, you'll get a notice on your phone. We'll know. It's not like we need to be. Yeah. So all of those places in Arkansas will be will be interesting. Small town, very small town things to see there. And then one of the things that we are doing is different from seeing dead relatives is Robert has got us a place to stay in Vicksburg, Mississippi, which is Civil War history location. And so we're staying at, it's called the Duff Greenhouse, and it's a bed and breakfast. And the room that we're staying in actually has a cannonball embedded in the wall from the Civil War.
Oh.
Yeah, cool, huh?
You know, that's cool.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Very cool.
I hope it's not the exploding kind of cannonball.
Right, yeah. I'm sure they've checked it out.
It's not live munition.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. That should be fun. We're prepared for rain because it does look like we're going to get some rain, but I'm not sure if it's the kind of rain like in Spokane, you know, the summers, it would get like warmer and warmer and muggier all day until in the afternoon the sky would just like open up and pour for maybe an hour. And then it was done and the weather felt much cooler and, you know, not so oppressive. And so I'm not sure if it's that kind of rain or what, but we will be prepared. We will be prepared for rain. So I'm looking forward to that. And then we're going to be fairly close to Shreveport, Louisiana. And I don't know, it'd be kind of fun to go into another state. So I asked a friend who lived there, you know, so what, is there anything to see in Shreveport? And she's like, well, I don't know. I was in college with 2 small twins. So if there was, I didn't see it. So we may do a little drive there. So it'll be a lot of driving, but we are going to be a little bit circumscribed in our travels. A lot of people have said, you know, are you going to Little Rock? I don't know if we're going to do that or not. And then other people have said, oh, you must go to Memphis. It's like, okay, that, I don't know, to me, as a Californian, our state is big. So when someone says, well, you must go to Memphis, I'm like, okay, that's in Tennessee. That's like 2 states away or something. That just feels very far to go. But Robert and I were laughing. It's like everything is about 3 hours away. Oh, this. Oh, yeah, it's about 3 hours away from Texarkana. Oh, this. Yeah, it's about 3 hours away from Texarkana. So having just done 2 straight days of 3 hours one way and 3 hours back road trips, you know, unless we're going to stay there and see something, I don't think we're going to do too much of that, you know, 6 hours of driving in one day. But I'm excited. I have information about all the different cemeteries, and so those are the kind of things I'm going to be excited to see in person.
Last night I went online and I was looking at Arkansas. You know, I just Googled things to do in Arkansas, and one of the things that came up that sounded kind of interesting is there was this whole the National Park Service runs bathhouses. Oh, and there's Bathhouse Row.
Oh my gosh. No.
Did you read it? Oh, shoot. Now I can't remember where this... It says these bathhouses were built between 1892 and 1923. Okay. And there's 8 of them. But shoot, I took the notes. Oh, one of them, Superior Bathhouse, is now a distillery.
Oh, fun.
But you Google it and do more research on it, but it sounded like they were all sort of in the same... it's called Bathhouse Row, so it makes it sound like they're all
in the same area,
close to one another. I don't know.
Okay,
that sounded kind of interesting. Are you going to be near Brinkley?
I don't know.
Okay, because there was a Louisiana Purchase State Park that looked kind of interesting, and then there was also in Norman, there was the Cato Indian Memorial Trail and Riverwalk, and also. Oh, I know. And then you said, because you're going to be in Texarkana, there's a Museum of Regional History, and there's
that's on our list.
Apparently, okay, because there's quite an exhibit on Cato Indian artifacts.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, the museum in Texarkana is one of the things. So Southwest Central Arkansas. So that's not that far away from where we're going.
Okay, and then Calico Rock. I couldn't find it on the map, but there was the Trimble cabin. It was built in 1815, and it's the only log cabin that predates the Civil War.
Oh, that would be cool.
Apparently they, I was reading online that they, during the war, they burned many of them down.
Right.
And so this one survived. So
okay. That sounds kind of interesting.
There was a kind of a lot to do. Then there's also up in, now I can't remember the town it was in. But it was the north western part of the state. I didn't think you were
I don't think we're
going
to get up that far.
But it was there's a Walmart museum.
Oh, mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah. Robert's dad's wife has her family, her people, she said, are in Bentonville, which is in that northwest
mm-hmm.
corner. And she said that her family, they actually knew the Sam Walton and the Walton
mm-hmm.
family and how nice they were. She was going on about how nice they were and all that. But yeah, we aren't going to get up to that part of the state. I don't think.
Yeah.
Most of what we're going to do is going to be in the southern part of
mm-hmm.
Arkansas, so the southwestern part of Arkansas, and Oklahoma and Texas and mm-hmm. maybe Louisiana. We are going as far as Mississippi, which is, that's a stretch, but that's going to be fun because he's going to see some Civil War history that he's been wanting to see. Yeah. And there's some.
Is Robert going to bring his socks?
Oh, I don't know, but it's going to be so hot.
So hot.
Everybody keeps telling us how hot it's going to be, and it is kind of humidity that we're not used to. I know when I was in Washington D.C., I was kind of concerned about how I was going to do in all the humidity, and I was actually fine, mm-hmm. but you do have to be kind of careful. Because you don't feel thirsty the same way you do when it's really dry, mm-hmm. but you still need to stay hydrated. Yeah. So anyway, we're looking forward to it a lot.
I was thinking, Kelly, when we were talking about his socks just now, I was thinking I should send you my Pismo Beach socks and you can take them.
So they could travel all the way to get a few more states. You could, how people have those little maps on their Ravelry profile page that says where they've been. Yeah. You could have a map that says where your Pismo Beach socks have been. And you can't finish them until they've seen all 50 states. That's funny.
That's funny.
Oh my gosh. So we're looking forward to it. And there were a couple of times where we were talking yesterday about, somebody that knows somebody but they don't have an address and maybe we could find, and I'm like, I'm open to just going up to somebody's front door and knocking and saying, this is the family we're from. Do you know anybody that's from this family? And Robert's kind of horrified by that idea. We'll see. But I do have this image of, have you ever seen the show Orphan Black?
No, I haven't.
These women are like clones of each other. And so mm-hmm. they keep finding more clones, right? They keep running into more people who look just like them. And I just have this, I think I've said this before, but I just have this image in my head of walking down the street in Locksburg and here are all these people going by who look just like Robert. Like the Orphan Black show. Hey, look. Hey, look. They all look just like Robert. So mm-hmm. we'll see if that's true or not. I guess I can't take pictures of random strangers just to show how much they look like. They look like locks.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a fun trip. I'm interested to hear about when you come back. And
we'll spend a little bit of time talking about what I've done, especially the yarn shop part.
Yeah.
And the sleeping in a room with the cannonball part.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll have to take a picture mm-hmm. of that and post it.
Yeah. So one thing that I did want to mention, and I might be posting along the way on the trip in here, is I've started on Ravelry. Oh, two things I want to say about Ravelry. But first, I've started on Ravelry in our group a thread called Morning Coffee. So just because I usually look at Ravelry in the morning while I have my coffee and then I have a place to just post a little bit, I might be posting along the way what I'm doing and where I am and that kind of stuff in that thread. But But the main thing that I just wanted to mention it to people is if you're interested, check it out. I've had a couple of people say, "Oh, I didn't know this was here." So I thought I'd mention it to the rest of the listeners that we have started that thread. If you want to just chat with each other, that's available. And then the other thing I just wanted to say about Ravelry, we've been talking about planning in the last episode and in this episode, and just coincidentally, I think this is kind of funny. The Ravelry front page today has a section, or the blog, that they have on their very front page. So for the May 27th, which is today, it has a tip. They have a tip section or a tip post, and the tip is organize your sweater dreams. So it talks about making a bundle and different ways to save your searches and do stuff like that. So I thought, oh, that's very, very timely that should come up. So, of course, when this episode goes out, it probably won't be the top.
It won't be timely.
Yeah, it won't be the top post, but you can just scroll down and see it. Yeah. It gives you some ideas if you need ways to use Ravelry for your sweater planning. So, all right. So that's all I have, Marsha. You have anything else?
So let me see. I've knit. How much have I knit on my poncho I've been working on? 1.5 inches.
Oh, that's good. You almost got your 2 inches for the day.
Yeah.
Nice.
So maybe I'll get 3 inches or 4 inches done today because maybe I'll knit this evening too. So, all right. If that's everything, I think I'm going to sign off and take the dog for a walk.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Okay. Have a good trip.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. To subscribe to the podcast, visit 2ewesfiberadventures.com. We have links for iTunes, Google Play Music, YouTube, and others.
Join us on our adventures on Ravelry and Instagram. I am Better in Motion, and Kelly is 100 Projects.
Until next time, we're the 2 Ewes
doing our part for World Fleece.